everybody, and welcome to the Most Important Conversations daily meditations. We run these meditations Monday through Friday. The main overarching theme of the meditations is liberation. Our focus is helping people liberate themselves from their conditioning. The content of each talk is derived from our core program called Whole Life Architecture. Whole Life Architecture is a live interactive program where participants are learning to be the creator of their lives so that they can create a life by design, merely tolerating a life by default. And to do that, that requires being liberated from their conditioning, being liberated from how they were told to be, who they needed to be, why they needed to be it. Most people have created a life by default. They've created and are living someone else's life. The conditioning that basically thinks them, their operating system, is what gives them everything they're experiencing in their life. And so whole life architecture helps people unwind this, deconstruct this, and recreate their life by design in every area, in fitness and health and relationships and money and wealth. And so if that interests you, you can find out more at TMICglobal.com. Again, that's whole life architecture. We've been talking this month about creativity and what does creativity mean. And this morning, I'd like to begin to touch on imagination, the power of imagination, what our imagination is, how it's a incredibly powerful creative tool that is underutilized, to say the least, and most people not even present, not even a part of their thinking. Imagination is one of the elements of creativity. When we imagine, we are creating worlds. When we imagine, we are accessing a built-in simulator in our mind. You know, the brain doesn't know the difference between a simulation and the real world. This has been well determined through neuroscience over many years now. It's the reason why flight simulators work. It's the reason why a pilot can drive to a hangar or a building, get out of their car with a Starbucks coffee and walk in and get seated in a simulator. And in that simulator, even though they just walked into a building, even though they knew they drove there, in that simulator they sit down and are put through a simulation of tail dives, bad weather, engine fires, all kinds of things that could happen to them in a real flight. But they know that they are not on a plane, that they are not in a real flight, that they are sitting in a glorified video game. And yet the brain doesn't know that difference. The brain, when experiencing a tail dive or an engine fire or some other plane emergency, the brain exhibits all of the same symptoms, physiological symptoms, as though it were really happening. Rapid breathing, heart palpitations, sweaty hands, nausea, even vomiting and passing out have occurred. Why does the pilot's brain respond that way unless it believes the simulation is real? This is the power of our imagination. And we errantly and inadvertently use our imaginations whenever we are imagining the worst of what could happen. This is probably the only time when most people use their imagination, not by design, not from a place of intention, but rather to make up stories about how something is not going to work. To make up stories as a way to hedge and protect and keep us secure. What if this happens? What if that happens? It's like that Mark Twain quote. He said, "I've lived through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened. But I've also lived through some horrible things in my life, most of which never happened." We make up the awful things that are going to or might happen in our life. And doing that, we use our imagination. And in so doing, we convince our brain, because it doesn't know the difference, that these things are happening. And just let that sit in for a second. Our imagination is such a powerful creative tool that when improperly wielded, which is how most of us wield it, we use it to imagine all of the reasons why our life won't work, to imagine all of the ways we won't succeed, to imagine all of the ways we will die or contract an illness, and then we build worlds in physical space based on that imagination. I was thinking the other day about the amount of money that we as humanity have spent on the military. Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars to destroy one another, to protect ourselves against one another, when we could have spent that money making everyone on the planet's life thrive. And you know what happens when people's lives are thriving? They don't lash out and want to kill people. So it's ironic to me that we deprive people of their thriving as a society, and then have to arm ourselves to the teeth with trillions of dollars of weapons to protect ourselves against the people we're worried about and we're imagining will attack us, precisely because we have made their life so miserable. Our thinking is so backwards. And on an individual level, if you're only using your imagination to create possibilities of how your life won't work and how you will defend yourself, how you will hedge against these possible breakdowns in your life, and then create a more secure, safe, but also small, compact, manageable, uninspired, unalive, unthriving life. If this is how you're going to be using your imagination, what a waste. Our imagination is a powerful creative simulator in our brain. And when learned how to use it to imagine possibilities of greatness, possibilities of success, possibilities of health, possibilities of happiness, possibilities of wealth, and not just to imagine it fleetingly like in a fantasy, but to learn how to do it through consistency by applying intention, and then by applying the technique of visualization combined with your imagination. These approaches are ways for you to transform your life. It's part of the work we teach inside of whole life architecture. How to do that, and to do it in community, and to do it so that you have others that you can travel with on the journey of transforming your life. But it begins with imagination, reorientating your relationship to your imagination, not just as something that you do in passing or something that happens to you when you're afraid of an event happening or afraid of what might happen. Your imagination comes online and imagines all of the ways that things aren't going to work out for you. And you are creating those things in that moment. Because the brain doesn't know the difference between a simulator and real life. And one of our distinctions in whole life architecture is you perceive what you believe. What you believe, you perceive. What you believe, you will see out in the world. You will find, because of confirmation bias, evidence of what you believe all around you. If I believe the world is an awful, dangerous place, I will perceive all of the evidence around me of how that is correct, of how the world is an awful, dangerous place. I will be paying attention to only those things because that's my belief system. And beliefs are created through imagination. When I believe something, I then imagine it happening. I see it in my mind. I can picture it. And when I picture it, it activates emotions. Those emotions of fear, worry, anxiety. And when I feel emotions, I then start to take actions. Buying guns and weapons. Starting to observe people through the lens of a threat. Perhaps if I have enough money, building a bunker in my house or buying one somewhere in the world like New Zealand, like all of these billionaires are. What you're seeing in these actions is the ramifications and artifacts of imagination. At one point, they imagined the world going in a dangerous direction. They imagined a threat to themselves. They began to believe that. And then they began to perceive that out in the world. And then that led to the actions and the choices they made. That's how it works. Now imagine, use your imagination, if you reversed the beginning, the initial condition, and instead of imagining how everything was going wrong, how everything was dangerous, how everything was about to collapse, you imagined something else. A thriving world, beginning with you, a thriving life, a healthy life, a life of happiness and joy, a life of success, a life of alignment where you are aligned with who you actually are, where what you do for work aligns with what brings you joy, makes you come alive, where your partner and you are aligned, not just in terms of interests, but at an energetic level, at a consciousness level, at a worldview level, where your health, you've got energy, vitality, you're being proactive and taking control of eating healthy food and exercising and getting good sleep. Imagine the life you could create if you were intentional about imagining a life of thriving. And then extrapolate that out from your life to your community's lives. What if everyone in your community did this? In your city, your state, your country, the world. What we have in the world today, right down to your individual life, is the work of the imagination. Because people imagine, it creates a belief, that creates a perception, that creates action. What are you imagining today for yourself? Where is your imagination taking you? Are you in control of it? Are you mastering it? Are you, by design, creating an intention for what you are imagining, knowing that it will become your reality? Just like the imagination became the reality of the flight simulator pilots. We haven't learned how to wield our imagination because when we were very young, it came naturally to us to imagine anything and everything as children. We did it automatically. It's what humans do. We're creators. We create. And imagination is what we do innately to create the worlds that we play in. And then we were conditioned. We were told to stop that. Stop daydreaming, stop fantasizing, stop desiring, stop imagining. Get to work, focus, get in line, be quiet. It's time to grow up. And so, month by month, year by year, as children, we had our imagination conditioned out of us. It's still there, it's just very repressed. And it now only gets used as a tool to avoid effort and discomfort. Now it only becomes a tool to avoid threat. Now it only becomes a tool to avoid all of these horrible things, as Mark Twain said, that will never happen to us. And yet we're creating worlds for them to potentially become a reality using our imagination. So this morning, as we move into our neurosculpting meditation, I'd like to invite you all to consider how you are using unconsciously, by default, unintentionally, your imagination in your life. The life you have is the life you've created. You just didn't realize it. You created that life by default. And one of the big defaults is you created that life by allowing your imagination to, by default, imagine all of the things you need to avoid. For most people, their lives are one big avoidance, avoiding the discomfort and the effort of what it would take to live an aligned, alive life, a life of aliveness. Ask yourself this morning how alive you really are, how joyful you really are. My guess is your life could use some re-architecting. And if that's the case, you can join us in Whole Life Architecture. You can join us weekly to recreate and reorient your life by design, beginning with learning how to wield and use the tools of creativity like imagination. I'm going to invite Mignon now to join us for our neurosculpting meditation this morning.
Thank you, Chad. And good morning, everyone. We will explore a neural sculpting meditation, creating space for liberation this morning. And you may hear me spell out words or dial things up or down, along with fun imagery, all by design as part of the neural sculpting meditation process. And this process helps calm the nervous system, prime the brain for creating supportive ideas, and allows agency in how you move through life. Regular neural sculpting practice can be incredibly supportive in reinforcing desired outcomes and creating lasting shifts. I hope it serves you in a meaningful way. So let's get started. For the next 20 minutes or so, we are going to go on a meditation journey together. And this journey is going to be about releasing and letting go of what does not serve us. So the body no longer has to hold what doesn't work. And we'll start this journey together by bringing our awareness to the body, inviting the body to do whatever it needs to do at this very moment in order to get to a place of comfort and rest. You might like to adjust the cushions, roll out wrists or ankles, or allow the shoulders to drop. Because your body is nowhere else but right here, right now, what would you like to do to get even more comfortable? Maybe it would feel good to take a long, deep breath in and slowly exhale, letting the air flow out through your nose and mouth, feeling your breath smooth and warm as it's released into the space around you. Your breath is breathing itself all the time, automatically. But with your awareness, you can notice that and you can influence the flow of your breath as it flows in and out. On your next inhale, you might notice the air expanding in your lungs and moving down into the belly, then rising back up on the exhale, releasing out of your body, clearing and softening. Your breath is doing an excellent job as it naturally and predictably flows in and out, filling you and emptying you. And with a deeper inhale and longer exhale, your body and muscles might find it easier to sink deeper into the supporting surface, relaxing even further. And with your awareness, you might want to connect even deeper, releasing any tension and allowing the body to sink even deeper into the cushion or chair or ground. Your body is right here, breathing and settling. And your environment may also be adding to your basic comfort. In what ways do you notice the environment adding to your comfort at this moment? Maybe it's a cozy chair a favorite plush blanket, or a comfortable and familiar surrounding. Maybe knowing all of your needs are met at this moment is comforting. You have food and water and shelter, and your breath is breathing, and your organs are functioning. Because you are breathing and settled, your breath is invited to flow comfortably and naturally in and out. And as your body continues to slow itself down, becoming more calm and relaxed, your thoughts are free to wander and engage your creative mind. What would it be like to imagine you were a flower? Would you be a beautiful rose admired for your lovely scent? Or a bright sunflower that bees and hummingbirds flutter around? Or perhaps something else? Would you be a brand new bud just beginning to open or in full bloom? Or maybe it would be more interesting to imagine literally stepping into your favorite book or story and living amongst the pages, a character in the plot as the story unfolds. What story would it possibly be? A fun Dr. Seuss or a classic novel or some other interesting tale? This is your creative and narrative mind. Your body is always listening. And because your body is listening so well, I would remind you that you are the author of this journey. You and only you, no one else. A journey to identify and release what does not serve you. So I wonder if you might bring to mind a simple STRESS, a stress that your body has been carrying. This might be recent or ancient. It might come as a conversation or memory. And this particular stress that you are imagining at this moment might have a color. Maybe it's blue or burgundy or plaid or something else. And how would your creative mind describe the texture or temperature of this stress? Maybe it's rough like gravel or sharp like shards. Maybe it's frigid cold or steaming hot. Maybe it's heavy or slippery or something else. What comes to mind for you? And all the while, your breath is breathing and your body is supported, and you are exploring and identifying and imagining. But if you were to reach down into the body with your mind and scan your body to find the location wherever you might believe this stress lives, where does your mind go? Are these colors and textures heavy in your belly or sharp in your back or cold in your hands or feet? What do you observe that is particular to you? And you might remember how well your body listens to your thoughts. So the invitation is to use your thoughts in this moment to imagine doing something different or better with what you are observing. If what you are observing is stuck and heavy or slippery, perhaps you imagine melting it, letting it slip right out of you. Or if it's too sharp, imagine filing down a sharp edge. And if it's too intense, imagine dialing it down from 10 to 5 to 1. What does your creative mind get to do at this moment when you give it permission? As creative mind imagines, your body listens. Sometimes it's slightly listening so you don't notice, and sometimes it's listening intently so that it's obvious. And because your mind is shifting this particular stress in this particular moment, how would you like to notice your body listening? Do you become aware of space or aware of shifting sensation? Maybe a muscle somewhere softens. What do you notice? You are bearing witness to your body's response to your mind. And if you imagined, felt, perceived a shift that supports you better, you are welcome to remember that shift by grounding into it. You are invited to place your non dominant hand on the part of your body that is shifting. Or instead, you are invited to make a hand gesture reminiscent of this moment, so that when you make it tomorrow, you're reminded of that shift you experienced today, embodying this change with your own hand. Or what if this shift could be a scent? What could it smell like? A scent that you could breathe in tomorrow that would bring you right back here. You are invited to use your next few breaths to settle into this shift, inviting it to expand or continue shifting if that's comfortable. Breath is breathing itself. Body is still supported. If you could come up with one activation word that you could say to yourself tomorrow that would bring you right back to your capacity to shift, what would that word be? This might be a word that means something to you, or it might be totally kooky. Imagine if it could be a license plate or spelled out on bold letters on a t-shirt. And each and every time you use this word or your hand gesture or smell that scent or go on this journey, you will strengthen that shift of what does not serve you. And all this is already inside of you. And you can invite it to integrate more and more along with your breathing. Even when you move your awareness out of the inner landscape to sounds out around you in the room, to the way your clothes feel against your skin. You're invited to take a few more breaths at your own pace. And gently open your eyes when you're ready to end your meditation. And I thank you for joining today's neural sculpting meditation. You're welcome to take a few moments to journal about your experience if that feels supportive. And you're always welcome to join us for our weekly meditations, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Pacific. I'm Mignon Harris, a certified neural sculpting facilitator. This original release meditation was created by Lisa Wimberger, founder of the Neural Sculpting Institute. Wishing you a gorgeous day and be well.